In today's program on standard gauge electric railways, we're going to be featuring the first miniature horse to successfully operate a standard gauge traction car. He is the man himself, Horace M. Horcecollar. Yeah, it started when I was a foal. I got this two-sub rail car. Yeah, all my friends were interested in the steam engines there on the narrow gauge. But my dad, he took this rail car pretty much every morning to work. I haven't got many photos from around then, but the two subs were around everywhere. They had a 3-sub at one point. By the time I was working, they had the 4 subs and the 3 subs were standard. I quite like them. My favourites were the 2 bills, but we never got one of those until the end. These were made out of old bogie coaches. They had all sorts of electrics in them. They had air whistles. The whistles were nice. We used to call them green birds, but then I got smacked upside the head for saying that, and that's another story. Now, as I mentioned, they had started out with the 2 subs, just the 2 power cars stuck together. Then the rights movement happened, and then we got these little doors and all the center cars for carrying the smaller creatures. I remember the guards started to go on strike because they had to close all these little doors. The whole schedule had to be redone, so they had an extra 5 minutes at each station. Nowadays, if I still ran these old 2 and 3 and 4 subs, I'd like an extra 5 minutes. Well, back then I was a sprite little thing. I'm still little, but back then, it was just terrible. This brings me to the modern era. They ruined everything. The subunits were gone. The 2 bill, we had that for 2 weeks, but then the line closed and we had to get rid of them. The government stepped in and bought it all, and I only got to run the 2 bill on closing day. Ironically, it broke down and we had to bring out this old M7 from storage. Then 1963, they brought in this oversensitive thing behind. The new units came in and ruined it all. Look at that thing. It was our first reaction. Thankfully, I only had to do 1 trip with this after reopening day, because it got me fired. It stalled on me. It's taking it up the hill out of the first station and just wouldn't do it. Then I got permission from the signalman using this little electronic device inside, and I got permission to back down using the little electronic signaling thing. The old ones had bells, but anyways, took it back down, tried it again, and it still wouldn't do it. They figured it was my problem, not the rail cars, which was totally wrong, right? And it just wouldn't do it. I'll admit the later Series 1 behind me at least looks a little bit better, but that first Series 1 could not get it out of that station. More importantly, the first time I brought it back down, one of the sensors in it detected something, I don't know what. Then an alarm started going off. I thought something was on fire at first. Then I just had to look over it and couldn't get it to stop. So I tried it back up the hill with the alarm going off. Just couldn't bother with the rail car anymore. I was fired, and this is why all these rail cars should have iPads and things in them. You see, when I was a kid, this was the most complex that those rail cars ever got. Mine had the whistle, the warning bell. All that was missing was the vac braking, and that was it. That's all you needed for a rail car. Nowadays, I can't even tell where the power car is, because now everyone's a power car, and I can't. And there's all those resistors and computers and all that stuff you don't need in them. What they really should have is these big concrete blocks in place so that they can get up the hill outside the station, which has been reduced, mind you, proving these rail cars couldn't do it, so it wasn't my fault and I should not have been fired. And they're trying to get everybody on board the same standard gauge rail cars. The way I see it, you got the narrow gauge for a reason, so that the smaller group can ride the narrow gauge and be fine. The standard gauge and the narrow gauge are separate for a reason, but they stop at all the same places and follow pretty much the same route. I don't know how that's supposed to work. But hey, the old 3 and 4 subs had at least accommodations for it. I don't know what's happened to the world recently, but everybody's on electronics now instead of drugs, and it's all wrong.